Okay, how you doing today, Fabian?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm going to shield.
Yeah, we did that on purpose, right? Okay, I want to start this off here with a request. Now, you've already signed one of my copies earlier today, but there's another comic I would like you to sign. And while you're signing it, we need to explain the story behind this.
Bring out your copy of NFL SuperPro. I don't even have to look at it.
How good were the Jets tickets?
The Jets tickets, the tickets were great. The game was terrible. They got their asses kicked in by the Colts, and the Colts were really bad back then. It was before Peyton Manning. The story behind NFL SuperPro, which I will be glad to tell for the millionth time, so please spread the word so I don't have to tell it again. Marvel was negotiating with the NFL to do a licensed character that the NFL was going to be involved with, and they'd been percolating for several months, but had not gotten it to a point where anybody was really happy with it.
Right.
The NFL wasn't all that thrilled. The person who was doing most of the percolating, besides the editor involved, was an assistant editor who had very few writing credits at that point, but was a big football fan, and that's why they asked him if he wanted to do it. So it got to the point where the NFL was getting frustrated, and they said, why don't we have a bigger name on it or someone with more experience on it?
Right.
And quite honestly, the real answer is because you're not going to find back then too many comic book people who have a clue about sports, because they don't.
True.
And the editor, Bob Budiansky, stopped me in the hallway, and he said, I need a big favor from you. And Bob gave me my first writing job at Marvel Comics,
right,
which was Sci-Force number 9 inventory story that he bought from me. He didn't even have to tell me what it was. I didn't even know what it was. But when a friend and a coworker says, I need a favor, you say, sure, whatever it is, I'll do it.
Absolutely.
Then they told me what it was, and I went, damn it. Stupid Fabian. Did I destroy the mic? I destroyed the mic.
You can have mine.
I think I really did destroy the mic. That's how hard a head I have. So I did the NFL SuperPro project. I took everything they had, I kind of resculpted it a little bit, tweaked it a little bit, condensed it a little bit. I just played around with it till it got to a point where the NFL was happy. And I was going to do the one-shot. It was called a bookshelf format edition back then. It was a 48-page book,
right,
and that's all I was going to do. And it sold really well, quite frankly. It sold like 60,000 copies for a $5 book, and that was just really good numbers back then. So they said they wanted to make a monthly book out of it, which originally I don't think it was supposed to be a monthly book. And they asked me to write the monthly book.
Right.
Now, mind you, I was writing like 5 books a month, plus I had a full-time job at Marvel at the time, and I said, no, I don't want to write the monthly book. And again, it's your boss, Tom DeFalco, the editor-in-chief, says, you're going to write the monthly book. And I was like, Tom, I'm not going to quit one of my other titles to write this. He goes, write it for 4 issues. Then you say you can't do it because you're too busy. By then the NFL's happy. Okay. I was like, all right, I'll write it for 4 issues, and I'll leave. And that's what I did. I wrote it for 4 issues. And Bob Budiansky, the editor, got to go to the Super Bowl. So did Tom DeFalco.
So you didn't get to go though?
I got tickets to a Jets game.
What?
Where they got creamed by like 30, 40 points.
See, now, the rumor I heard is that you got season tickets.
Not even close. No, one game I got to go to. The real ultimate twist to the whole story is that the bookshelf format edition and the first 4 issues sold really, really well. So I got a really nice royalty check.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So anytime anybody makes fun of NFL SuperPro to me, I go, that stupidity paid for 1 year of my future child's college tuition. So what the heck, you know?
Wow.
And they go, all right, I guess it's not that stupid after all.
I never thought, I love it. But I love campy stuff. I really enjoyed it for
it was really bad. It was really bad. It was really bad. Even by the standards of that time, which is saying quite a bit, it was really bad.
I host Super Bowl parties, and every year I put him on my logo for Super Bowl parties when I invite people out. They're just like, why are you still doing that?
Because the joke never gets
It
old.
never does.
My former late friend Mark Grunwald always said, if it's not funny the first time, it'll be funny the 50th time. And he was absolutely right, because by the 50th time, you'd be laughing at the joke.
Now, when you were doing this, because you mentioned a full-time job, were you still doing marketing at Marvel at the time?
At that time, I was probably an editor. I was Marvel's advertising manager for 4 years, and Tom DeFalco had been asking me to be an editor, and I turned him down a couple times because I really liked the promotions marketing job that I had. I liked it. I just like it. I went to college for advertising, and I got to be an art director, a copywriter, you know, a production manager, everything. We had our own little mini agency in the office. So I really enjoyed that job a lot. The problem is we were putting out so much work that at one point I was writing a copy line for an ad, a sell sheet that went to the direct market distributors. Back then the comic shops and the distributors actually used to work harder. The comic shops still have to work really hard, distributors not so much. And there were multiple distributors, so you had to service a lot of different clients, as opposed to now where there's just Diamond Comics for the most part. I was writing a copy line and it sounded familiar and I wasn't really thrilled with it, and then I realized like a day later, the reason I wasn't happy with it is because it's a copy line I'd written like 3 years earlier. So it's okay to repeat the comic stories you write after a certain amount of time, but you shouldn't be repeating the advertising lines that you write. So I realized I think I'm a little burnt out. We were putting out 10 to 12 pieces of work a month, every month, and it starts to be a grind to do that. So at the same time, Mark Grunwald and a few other people said, just so you know, he won't ask you more than a third time. 3 strikes and you're out. If Tom asks you to be an editor again and you say no, he's not going to ask you anymore. And I said, all right. He asked me to be an editor again. I said, fine, as long as it's not superhero stuff. Give me the hardest stuff you have. Like an idiot, I said that. So he gave me what was Marvel Comics Star line, which was licensed books for younger readers. And that's the line he gave me. So I was writing X-Men and X-Force and Nomad and New Warriors, but I was editing Barbie and Ren and Stimpy and things like that.
Wow.
So it was
that is
really,
a lot on your plate.
yeah, it was a lot on my
characters.
plate, no doubt. Yeah, if you notice what happened. But the truth of the matter is, it was fantastic work experience for me too, because I was getting experience that nobody else in the office was really getting. I was interacting with Mattel and I was interacting with Nickelodeon, and when we were negotiating with Lightstorm Entertainment to do a Terminator comic, I fly out to LA with Tom DeFalco and the publisher Mike Hobson to meet with James Cameron.
Right.
So it was a very different kind of an experience and responsibility to be working on those titles. It is honestly a lot more work. Licensed books are about 2 to 3 times more work than an average monthly book, just because of the process. But I wouldn't give it up at all now, because of the wealth of contacts I made, my understanding of how other businesses work, the positives and negatives of all that, and that's things that the guys who were just doing Marvel books weren't getting.
You mentioned, and this is going to a series I really did enjoy in the 90s. You mentioned Nomad, which was fantastic. I really enjoyed that run. I really did. And I got to say, I really think, and in my opinion, I feel that a lot of elements of the current Winter Soldier were definitely inspired, at least from what I've seen from the parallels, by your Nomad run. I don't know if you saw those similarity in lines.
Not really. I stopped. I actually was reading Captain America regularly because I thought Brubaker and Steve were doing a great job with it. I actually stopped reading it after they shoved Nomad in a trunk because I said, you know what? I said, you know what? That's not the way to do it. So I stopped reading the book after that. I think that maybe there were elements of it, but the truth of the matter is that he wanted to take Bucky in that direction, aimless, uncertain, wandering, hardened, and uncertain about the world. The reason, if there's similarities to Nomad, is because that's exactly who Nomad was back then. I think it's a fait accompli that if you're a Bucky in your 20s, you're screwed up and you're not quite sure what to do with your life. So that's what Nomad was. And I think, I mean, Nomad's one of those books I haven't reread. Sometimes I reread my own work years later, but I haven't reread Nomad because I don't think it wasn't what it could have been at the time for two reasons. I wasn't a good enough writer yet. I wasn't experienced enough in life yet. But number two, more importantly, Marvel wouldn't have been able to publish the kind of book that it needed to be back then. They weren't ready for that. It was still a Comics Code approved book. They weren't allowed to do mature reader books, things like that. It would be a very different book now. I think it would be a better book now. I'm proud of the effort. We made quite an effort to tell very different stories. I got on Entertainment Tonight because of it. I got to do the Entertainment Tonight walk. That's why they make you do this. And the camera films you doing that. And there's no reason for them to do that except that they'll cut that into the middle of your interview because they think a talking head is boring. So what they'll do is they'll interview Fabian about the Nomad LA riots issue, and they'll cut away to me walking through the Marvel hallways.
Wow.
If you watch any shit, I don't know if they still do it now. I haven't watched Entertainment Tonight in 25 years. But back then, if you watch any episode of Entertainment Tonight during the middle of any interview, there's the person walking. And then they also interviewed me for the...
I never knew that.
They interviewed me for the Marvel, the Jean Grey, Scott Summers wedding issue.
Okay.
They ended up not running it. They didn't run it because I think O.J. Simpson did something. I think he might have killed his wife and some other guy.
Not as important.
And so they didn't run that piece when they were supposed to. But that time they filmed me in the Marvel offices. They had me take pages of a comic book, walk through production, put it on a light table, and look at them. As if that would be something I would ever have done in the offices.
Here's Fabian at work.
So they made me do it. And this was my second time doing an Entertainment Tonight piece, so I was already the jaded veteran by then. So every time they were trying to film me walking with the pages through the bullpen, I'd turn and look at the camera and go like this. And the cameraman was getting so pissed, and the producer was getting so mad at me because I wouldn't stop doing that. I'd have the pages, I'd go, and then I keep walking. So I think they might have cut it because I was such an ass.
I kind of like that 50s newsreel thing.
It wasn't because of OJ. It's just because this guy's an ass. We're not going to run this piece.
Talking about a lot of, because you created so many characters of the 90s. I mean, the new Warriors were a big piece there. One of my favorite X-Force characters, Shatterstar, was a product of you, which I never thought he never got enough anything.
You know what?
Like,
that was Rob's baby. I didn't co-create Shatterstar actually.
Okay.
Rob, that was almost solely Rob. I mean, I wrote every issue he ever appeared in, but Rob gave that one to me much more fully formed than some of the other characters, which were a lot looser. So Shatterstar, you know what? Shatterstar never got a chance, mostly because we played into too many of the obvious tropes with him. He was too over the top. He was too excessive.
Right.
And I think that he was so over the top that it was hard to pull him back down again.
Yeah, I can see. I mean, I'm reading this when I was in middle school, so I mean, I thought it was like the greatest
the
thing
age
ever.
you are makes a big difference.
Yeah.
If you're 10 to 12 years old, then you know, a guy with 76 swords is cool as hell. It doesn't matter that he can't go to the bathroom, but it's still cool as hell to have 76 swords. You know?
Exactly. You don't worry about those little things when you
No, you don't worry about things like that.
It's the coolest thing ever.
That's things writers have to think about. Wait a minute, how's this guy go to the bathroom?
Someone had always heard it was with I don't want to bury Liefeld or anything, Rob or anything, but X-Force was Nicieza provided the personality and Liefeld provided all the pouches to keep it in.
Yeah, and look, that's a cute and pithy way to put it.
Right, of course.
I don't mind if you put it that way, but it's also not 100% accurate at all. I mean, Rob was plotting the book. Sometimes some issues were more loosely plotted than others, but Rob was plotting the book. And Rob designed and developed all of those characters. Some, like I said, were more fully thought through than others.
Right.
But I was not writing that book. I was scripting that book. And the fact that Deadpool became more popular and grew in popularity, part of that reason, clearly and obviously, was the sense of humor he had. And that did come from me as the scripter. And I did put a lot of myself into that character after Rob had left less than a year later to do Image. But at the end of the day, the character wouldn't exist in any form at all if it weren't for Rob. He wouldn't exist in the form he is now if it weren't for me doing something that led to Joe Kelly doing something that led to et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
You know?
Is there a particular X-Force or New Warrior character that you were really attached to when you first created them, and like how do you feel about where they are now in their direction? Or?
I can't answer where they are now because I don't really follow the books. I do trade paperback reading years after the fact, usually. I mean, if I see something in the library, if I buy something later, I mean, the stuff I tend to read came out 4 years ago is what it amounts to for the most part. At the time, I probably empathized more with Speedball from New Warriors than anyone else because I saw a lot of myself in him. He was a very curious character, had a lot of questions, had underlying kind of frustration and anger and cynicism, but was also smart enough to understand how to navigate reality, and he could fit into different worlds. And I was always pretty comfortable fitting into different worlds. I could play on the high school soccer team, and I could hang out with the artists groups, and I could hang out with the nerdy groups, and it didn't matter to me that much. And it wasn't like I pretended to be somebody else. It's just that I was very comfortable moving around those different circles. And the same thing in business. When I started full-time work in publishing, I was able to navigate very smoothly between people in different departments without a problem because I understood that everybody had their role to play. I'm very much a team guy. That's why I'm not that good at doing my own stuff or my own creator-owned stuff because I'm always looking for a team to play with. So in that regard, Speedball was the guy in New Warriors who in many ways was the actual glue of the team and in many ways was the actual conscience of the team, but you never would have realized it if you looked at him on the surface. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I think if I had read a New Warriors issue without Speedball, you would feel something missing.
Oh, it was a different dynamic when he wasn't in the book or in a scene or anything like that.
Absolutely. Were you? Obviously, we know what happens to Speedball and everything. It's a pretty rough thing with the whole.
Yeah, I didn't read a lot. I didn't read a lot of it. I read the first issue. I actually saw the first script to Civil War #1 because I was writing for Marvel back then, and they sent us the scripts because we were doing tie-ins, and I got through the whole opening scene. I said, well, any children in the audience? This is a piece of shit. I said, I respect Mark tremendously as a writer. I've liked a lot of things he's written, but this is a guy who has absolutely zero clue about the characters he's writing, and he's just using them as a prop to tell the story he wants to tell, which is the exact opposite of how I write. I only use characters the way they are and who they are for the purpose of telling the story. I don't work it the other way around. This was reverse engineered. We need a major moment in order to incite this. Let's use these guys to create that major moment.
Right.
So.
And then it was. Had you had a chance to read the previous arc before the reality TV show angle that they did with that?
No, I've not read a single issue of anything that says New Warriors on it that I didn't write, except for the last 2 years of the original series run. Okay. And that was written by Evan Skolnick, who was my assistant and a very, very good friend of mine, and it still took me well over 10 years to read it. Okay, anytime we'd get together, our families used to get together back when he lived on the East Coast, and we'd get together and he'd like look at me, did you read it yet? No, I haven't read it yet. Damn, I'm going to read it. Eventually, I'm going to read it. And I did read it eventually. One time I said, Ev, I read it. He goes, you kidding me? I go, no, I really liked it. It was good. You did a lot of good stuff. He's like, oh, man. I say the same thing about Deadpool. A lot of people ask me, what'd you think about Deadpool this month? I was like, it came out? I don't know.
How do you even keep up with Deadpool in the comics these days?
It's a no-win for me. If I like it, then I'm jealous about it, and I'm jealous that I didn't write it because they wrote it better. Right? And if I don't like it, then I'm angry that I could write better than that. So if it's going to be no win for me, then why bother either way?
Right. I see that. That makes sense. I like.
You know, I'm jealous and angry, or I'm bitter and angry. I would prefer to take the jealousy and the bitterness out of it and just be angry.
Right. Just be angry.
It's a lot easier.
Just neutral angry.
Yeah, just a natural and constant state of anger. It's a lot better.
Well, since I wanted to ask you, being a veteran of the comic world, and
that's just another way of saying I'm old, by the way.
Yes.
Just so you know, when you say you're a veteran of something, that just means you're old.
I was aware. I was just being polite.
Yeah. So you could just start the question by saying, as being an older man.
All right. Yeah, you're an old dude, babe. Yeah, and your career in advertising here. So there's been a lot of criticism about oversaturation of the market these days, both with comics and with movies. Do you think just the constant pumping out is causing a burnout, or do you think it's a good thing for comics?
I don't know. I don't know. Look, both Marvel and DC and Dark Horse were putting out a lot more titles back when I was working for them than they are now by exponential numbers. I mean, with Marvel and DC were putting out like 80 monthly titles, not even counting trade paperbacks and not even hardcovers as much back then, but trade paperbacks and things like that. I don't think the major companies are putting out anywhere near that level of volume. So I don't get that argument. Most of the times the people who make that argument have no real understanding of history and the amount of titles that the companies used to put out. I mean, in the 60s, Marvel had like 8 spaces on a newsstand rack, and that's why they couldn't do more books. And the minute they got more newsstand space is when Tales to Astonish and Tales of Suspense and all the joint books that had Cap and Iron Man and Submariner and Hulk in it together split off into their own solo books because they got more rack space. Was Marvel saturating the market in 1968 because they were all of a sudden allowed to put out 12 or 14 books instead of 8? It's so specious. To me, honestly, you want the anger to come into play. There is such a propensity among people now to make this moment the single most important defining moment in the reality of the universe that it's really hard to explain to people, guess what? It's not. Yeah. It's just this moment. There was a moment ago, and there's going to be a moment from now. So maybe don't get yourself so damn worked up about this moment. All right? The companies are capable of putting out as many titles as they want that makes them the amount of money that they're budgeted to make. They are businesses. A job of a business is to make money.
Right.
They prefer to make that money by giving you a product that you want to buy. If you don't want to buy that product, you don't have to buy that product. And that's something that a lot of comic readers don't really seem to understand. I quit reading X-Men as a reader 3 or 4 times during the course of the flow of the X-Men because I wasn't enjoying it. And if I chose to go back and start reading it again, oh, this guy Paul Smith, he looks pretty good, I'm going to start reading it again, And if I'm curious about the 12 issues that I missed, I'm capable of going and buying the back issues, right? But I never once blamed Marvel for putting out an X-Men book that I didn't like. It's my choice to like or not like something. It's my choice to buy or not buy something. You know what? As far as movies are concerned, that's a completely different, those are 2 very different questions. Can there be oversaturation of a genre in an entertainment model? And the answer is absolutely, there can be. There can be. All you need to do is look at how many Westerns used to be made in the 1950s versus how many Westerns were made in the 60s versus the 70s versus the 80s to today, right?
Right.
And you can watch the progression numerically go down because people got tired of Westerns. Conversely, you can see the number of spy movies or astronaut movies or whatever picked up in the 60s and went from there. Could there be an oversaturation of superhero genre in the movie marketplace? Absolutely. It could happen tomorrow. Guess what? Anytime anything comes out that doesn't exactly make Titanic or Avengers level numbers, you're going to have a whole bunch of people saying, this is the end, this is it, the end is near, here's my sign, we are all going to die now. And then the next movie comes out, and that's a better movie that makes a lot more money, and all of a sudden, okay, it's not the end yet, but it will be, the next one is going to be the end, I guarantee it. So after Ultron came out, everybody said, oh, this is it, it's over, this was an awful movie that only made like $1.3 billion.
Right.
And then Ant-Man came out, and everyone goes, this is really kind of cute, I like it. Wow, it made $500 million off a $160 million budget. Oh, okay, that's really actually good. It didn't need to be Avengers. So what is your barometer then? Does it need to make $1.4 million to be a success, or can it make $500 million to be a success? Look, if the death knell was going to be sounded, it would have been after Batman versus Superman. Right? And then Civil War came out, and most people, myself included, thought Civil War was a really darn fun movie. Okay, I guess the sky's not about to fall. And then X-Men came out. I haven't seen X-Men yet. I'm not excited about the X-Men movie, so I have no real desire to go see them. That doesn't mean that the sky is falling.
Right.
It just means that, like anything else, as opposed to judging it by its genre, judge it by its individual entry into the genre. Not every spy movie is good. Not every Western movie is good. Not every romantic comedy is good. But there are some romantic comedies that are head and shoulders above others that entertain more people. Why is that? Because they're better made. That's all. So that's how I see it.
That's a pretty good way of saying it.
No, the end is near. I'm guaranteeing it.
You're wrong. It's all gone.
It's very much the glass is half full or half empty. Are you a pessimist or an optimist, type thing? And a lot of people, I think, nowadays are pessimists. Oh, that was terrible. No.
It's cool to be a pessimist right now.
Well, everybody wants to overreact. And as the glass is half full and half empty thing is always really, it's a delicious irony because I've always looked at that glass as being both half full and half empty because that's what it is. So,
in the middle.
It's both. Guess what? Life is both. There's good and there's bad. I mean, there's positive, there's negative. It's never ever going to skew one way or the other. The only time the glass is full is when it's full. Otherwise, it's not full. So.
He's gotta go. I like the rants. I'm enjoying the rants. You should have your own podcast.
Fabian.
I've got some more naysayers for you to weigh your opinion on, though.
Go for it.
Relaunching characters instead of either aging them or retiring them. Do you feel that it's better to maybe just start anew with new characters and let the old characters naturally age or retire, or are you in favor of when they do these relaunches?
Making monthly comic books is the equivalent of making pizzas. You have to make that pizza every month. Some months the pizza is going to taste a little better than other months.
Right.
Some months you're going to put different ingredients in it because you want to try a different kind of pizza.
Yeah.
All right? But the pizza's got to get made. And the pizza's gonna be made, right? So sometimes you're gonna buy a slice and it's not gonna be as good as the slice you had last month or the slice you're gonna have next month. It's just the reality of the job. It's not the same as doing a 6-issue, self-contained, creator-owned book that you've been working on for 2 years. It's not the same at all. It's the equivalent of, people complain about network television versus cable television. A cable show gets 10 episodes or 9 episodes or whatever. Network television is almost always 22 episodes, sometimes more. There's a vast difference in how you produce 22 episodes of television versus how you produce 13 episodes of television. There's a reason why some shows on Netflix or on HBO are better crafted than 22 episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever, just to pull an example out of a hat. I could say Flash or Green Arrow, too.
Right.
They're not always going to hit,
Yeah.
So comics are the same thing. You have to try different things. You have to put different ingredients in order to see if it's going to taste better. You don't know if it's going to taste better. You hope it will.
Right.
And sometimes it tastes better in your gut because you just made a better pizza, okay? And even then, you don't know if the fans are going to react positively to it. And even then, 70% of the fans can go, that's a damn good piece of pizza. You're still going to have the ones that go, yeah, I don't like anchovies. So they're not going to like the slice of pizza. As an industry, we pay way too much attention to the people who don't like anchovies as opposed to paying attention to the people who like the pizza that month. So even the most recent example, which I could bring up, is the Captain America example, which was absolutely the perfect example of what I said earlier about the moment is the most important thing in the world. A month later, the issue number 2 comes out and tells you what most people who understand how comics are put together, who understand how pizzas are made, could have predicted was going to happen. Whether it was in issue 2 or whether it was in issue 12, it was still going to happen, that we were going to explain why Cap had his mind or his reality rearranged.
Right.
And we could guess it was going to be the Cosmic Cube. That's not too hard to guess. It was appearing in different books apparently, and he'd been re-aged. So anyway, all of the bloggers and all of the articles and all of the whining about making Cap a Nazi and this and that crap, you know what? At the end of the day, 30 days later, the storyline gets explained. And you can choose to like the pizza or not like the pizza. That's your prerogative. But but don't be aghast at how the pizza is made. You know?
Absolutely. That's a great.
You flip it in the air with your hands? Yes, we do. And you put sauce on it, but that sauce looks like blood. Yes, it does. It's tomato sauce. There you go. Don't put it in the oven. It's hot in the oven. Yes, it is hot in the oven. Anyway.
We got a few minutes left. I want to open it up to the floor. Does anybody have any questions here for Fabian?
Is anyone I haven't offended yet? Please raise your hand.
Any questions about pizza?
Because if not, I've got more questions. So I pick,
Don't be shy.
Yeah, come on up if you have any questions.
No question is a stupid question.
And if it is, he'll tell you.
I think the teacher that told me that one time, I asked a stupid question. She said, that's a stupid question.
Except for that one.
Wait a minute.
Well, as a writer myself, I was wondering, how do you where do you draw your inspiration from besides real life? Do you just come up with it, dreams? What do you do?
It's been a little bit of everything, and it should be a little bit of everything. I have predominantly worked in universes of pre-existing characters, because most of my work has been for Marvel and DC as a comic book writer. As a result of that, there's a history to the characters that help you understand who they are. That makes telling stories with them easier for me, not harder, because there's already a template in place for their personality, which creates a template for the kind of decisions and choices they're going to make. Unlike some younger modern writers, I understand that Captain America is not going to kick somebody in the balls as a way of combating that character. You know what I mean? That's just not what Cap does. I know that Spider-Man isn't going to rob a bank in order to make money to pay for Aunt May's, medical bills or whatever. So that gives you a foundation and a grounding, which allows you to understand the choices a character makes in a story. Once you understand the choices a character is going to make, it helps narrow down the amount of forks that you can take in the road. All right. The other thing is that I work in an industry that has a rich continuity and history to it. So I can draw from previous stories or previous experiences that characters have had, or choose ideas that are based on, it'd be interesting to see Spider-Man in context to a character that they might not normally ever go up against. Mr. Sinister, just as an example. That, what would happen if that were the case? And once you have an idea like that, and generally you have a whole bunch of them, and you start to percolate the ones that you think might work best, those formulate themselves into stories. For a book like Nomad, which we were mentioning earlier, most of that book was drawn from real life, real world events. I wanted to place this character into the context of real world situations and make my comment on those situations, as much as my 30-year-old brain was capable of doing back then. So Nomad I told very differently, because he was traveling and falling into trouble, and what a surprise, that trouble happens to be around stories that had some level of newsworthiness to them. But even then, I did an LA riot story because I was in Los Angeles during the original riots in the 90s, and I thought, well, shit, what would Nomad do here? But for the other token, I read a newspaper article about problems that Native Americans were having getting a casino opened up in Arizona, and the locals having a problem with them wanting to start a casino. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Arizona locals telling natives what they are allowed to do or not do on the land they were forced into. So there's a story to tell there, So it really varied. I am not as good at creating my own stuff whole cloth, quite honestly, because there are too many choices for me to make.
Yeah.
And I hate having that many choices. And I end up getting stymied by the potential of the story opportunities that a character who I've yet to understand fully what choice they would make in a certain situation.
Yeah.
It makes it harder for me to understand what choice they would make, which makes the story harder to put together. So when I'm trying to do my own stuff or live in worlds that are outside of sandboxes that I'm familiar with, I have problems with the middle. I'm okay with the beginning, I'm okay with the end, I have problems in the middle. And Act 2 is almost always the hardest, because that's when you have to move the players all over the board and manipulate your story threads in a way that untangles them and then tangles them back up again toward the climax of the story.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it should be coming from everywhere and anywhere.
Okay.
All right?
right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, did anybody else have a question here? All right then. Well, Fabian, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you very
on
much,
here.
guys. I
It's
appreciate
so
it.
much fun. Fabian Nicieza, everyone.
Thank you, folks.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
You were great.
You dropped your NFL Super.
I know. All right, cool. Well, yeah, we have Jim Cummings coming up next. Man, I really got to get a table. Coming up next will be Jim Cummings, or it will be Michael Cudlitz. I think we're just going to have whoever gets here first. We're going to have a relay race for them. So,
Let him fight it out.
yeah. How'd you guys enjoy the first guest?
Wasn't he great?
All right. Oh, no, that's cool too. I
There
mean,
you
just
go.
whatever. You know, that's cool, whatever. So Jim Cummings is next. For those of you who don't know, he is the voice of everything that happened in the 90s, period. That's what they've put up there. That is 4 characters out of the probably hundreds that he did starting in the late 80s onward to still now today. He's still doing
Yeah.
the voices of all these characters. So we're just waiting on him right now. I told him 4:30. Yeah, he's going to come in spinning like the Tasmanian devil that he is. Even though I think he's
That
from
was our fault,
California.
though. We told him he had time.
Yeah, we told him we had time.
He might have got caught up somewhere.
Poorly produced. So, who are you guys most excited to see at this show? Michael, everyone's here for Michael? Okay, well we're going to tell Michael this later, but as you know, Michael has a glorious mustache. And if you ask him a question without a mustache, it offends the mustache. So therefore, we're going to have this rule when he gets there. You're not going to ask Michael Cudlitz a question. You have to mustache Michael Cudlitz a question. So everyone has to wear the mustache before you get on. You know, it's very similar to most places of worship. You have to address the altar of the mustache before that. And I give you 4 choices there, so just make sure you know. If you have a stash already, you don't have to stash. Double stash is a little bit too much. I mean, that's going to put the planets out of alignment there if we do too much there. But yeah, just so you know, for Cudlitz, you must stash him a question. And that's a very important thing
Even
there.
the women. You're not getting out of this, and children.
Especially the women, you need to mustache him a question. So, welcome to the frigid north, everyone else. I do it for the sound equipment. Trust me, if the air conditioning wasn't the way it is, these lights would just bake our guests. So it is for their convenience there. So we're getting Jim Cummings coming up, or Michael. I'll take either one. Oh, it is not. It is not. It's bright up here, but it's not warm whatsoever. So, Leva, how have you
Definitely
been?
warm. I'm still freezing. That's the leather jacket.
How have you been, Leva?
I'm good. I'm good, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah. I had a broken ankle, but it's getting there. It's healing.
Yeah.
So.
It looks good. I
I'm
mean,
not sure
you
if
know.
anyone here follows pro wrestling, but I'm a pro wrestler, and I broke my ankle diving off the top rope. So.
Yes. Leva is has wrestled on NXT, for those of you that watch. She was on there, I mean, pretty much a good solid year, I think you were.
Yeah, like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like on a monthly basis. And then most recently, I've been seen on TNA Knockdown. Woo.
Knockdown.
Woo.
They have a knockout,
Say
knockdown?
that- Knockout, knockdown. Say that a couple times.
Only one will survive.
I got to do the one night only pay-per-view with them. So, and then I broke my ankle. So, hey.
Well.
But I didn't break it there. I broke it doing another show. I actually broke it doing a kaiju big battle. I was dressed up like a giant bird, and I was fighting a plantain and a unicorn. And I went to go double stomp the plantain, and he didn't move quick enough, and I slipped off his slippery body, and I didn't want to break his leg, so I landed all on this leg. and it snapped the ankle.
You might need to explain to what kaiju
So
is.
going to the ER was fun because I was dressed up as a giant bird. So I took off the costume and I wrestled earlier because I'm a cosplay wrestler and I had a Captain America costume underneath.
Oh,
so
very
I
nice.
took the bird costume off and the nurse goes, "What the hell? What are you doing?"
How many gimmicks does this
Because
girl
I took
have?
the bird costume off and then Captain America was underneath it. I'm very weird.
That's yeah. I'm
My
glad.
life is weird.
I'm glad you basically you basically did the live action version of rip off your mask to reveal another mask
I did.
underneath. We have no idea who this girl is. Like she's a giant bird. She's Captain America. Who knows? Wasn't Captain America a woman at one point? They do a couple of things, right? Thor was a woman at one point. Loki was a woman at one point.
Yeah.
Most of Asgard had been women at one point. I would love to see female Volstagg, though. That would be fantastic. Tyler Perry should play female Volstagg. Little known fact about Jim Cummings, he used to have a fantastic mustache as well, but he shaved it off.
Oh, he did, yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice mustache. But
He's trying to start the new trend of Sand Stash.
sand stash work because you got like that phantom mustache going when you have a sand stash. It's a little bit lighter, and like you're so used to seeing someone with a mustache, you almost see this like this image. It's a mirage stash. It was. Because when I saw him, I was like, wow, he's still got a mirage stash because I can only see him with the mustache. That's what I say there. I swear we have guests. They happen. I promise you. It was promised to me. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
Yay!
voice acting legend, please welcome Jim Cummings to the stage.
Yeah, give it up! There you go.
Nice soundtrack.
Thank you, thank you.
Hi, guys. You're probably wondering why I called you all here. I know I am. But seriously, hi.
Hi, Jim, how you doing?
Hi.
Okay, I'm going to talk to her.
Okay.
Hi. So nice place you have here.
Thank you very much. We keep it clean, we keep it fresh.
I like what you've done with it.
Yeah.
How are we doing so far?
good.
They're going like, who the hell is this guy? All right.
I've explained to him, you're pretty much everyone from the 90s.
Only the 90s? Doggone it. Oh, well.
Well, late 80s too. You had a monopoly on the late 80s as well, yeah.
Hey,
Whoop.
I've got my...
I'm getting you a table.
I'm obviously happy to see you. Here, these,
Can I ask you? Can I ask you about the?
Here, hold these.
Can I ask you about that?
Yeah.
Here you go. See, these are hot rods. And what it is I carry these to sessions because I play around with them on the boring parts.
Okay.
You know when other people are doing their lines. That's the boring. That's the boring part. The right between a jazz brush and a drumstick. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. Okay.
So, Jim, I mean, fantastic to meet you. Like I said, you're a voice acting legend. You actually were one of my inspirations in going into entertainment. It was just one of my favorite voice actors to the point where I could
Well, thank you.
be in the other room like, oh, that's Jim Cummings on there. So, question here. Breaking into voice acting, I know you've probably answered this question a million times, but it seems to be a very kind of small group. And is that because you guys just cover the stream, or?
Well, I didn't know it was when I first started. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it was impossible to break into, so I was too stupid to know, so I did. So honestly, I really think it's that. I think it's probably a lot harder now. And when I started, it was 85, or actually 1984, the tail end. But now, I mean, the thing is, you're competing against guys like me, or competing against like Matt Damon or Brad Pitt, or I've actually done movies with them. It's like, but they were the big kids, So it's kind of weird. It's a different world now, but back then, although I will say this, as far as breaking in to voice acting, remember it's acting. It's acting. It's not, you're not doing a voice, you're doing a character, and that's what he sounds like. And, I made a demo tape of, in '84, of 2 guys, one guy from Ireland, one guy from India, sitting around watching television. And I was them, and I was all the commercials that they watched. And, clicking around on the TV back then, it was like, it made a sound, so it was good to delineate the different voices. And I was all of them, and I sent it around and to a few people. I was working at a video store, and a guy named Sal Romeo was kind of like a B-movie horror producer. And I gave him my tape, and he said, well, I'll pass it around. I go, okay. And he actually did, and somebody called me, and I sent it to, this is terrible. I'm forgetting his name. John Luden? Yes, okay. And he had done Secret of Nim and various other things.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, well, I guess I'll hold on to it. I'm not doing anything right now. And he really did, and he passed it along to a guy named Frank Brandt, who was doing Dumbo Circus on Disney Channel.
Oh, yeah, I remember that show.
And I had an audition. I kind of lucked into that, and then I got the job. So I kind of broke in through the side door or the back door or whatever, because I nailed the first, thank you, Jesus, audition that I ever did. And that lasted for like a year and a half, that show. So by then I had an agent, and I was already going.
Nice.
So yeah, I was really hoping to be a waiter, though. Or valet.
You didn't get the full acting
For a
experience.
few years, I know. I could probably still park your car, though. But anyway, so yeah.
So you've been with Disney pretty much ever since. With that, do you get to go for free every year to Disneyland? Is that a perk that you get?
Absolutely.
That's.
Does everybody want to go? Let's go. We'll all go to Disney World. How far is it?
It's
4 hours.
3.5 hours.
Yeah, we don't go. We'll go tomorrow. Yeah, just tell them you know me. They'll go, what?
Jim Cummings sent me.
Yeah, and they'll go, that will be like 150, whatever.
That's about right.
Yeah, that's right.
With all the voices that you do, is there any technique that you use to keep your voice from cracking or deteriorating after a while, or just you go into?
When I go to a football game, you don't scream, you don't yell. I go to a concert, I don't yell. I don't even do video games that people yell in. I'm like the storyteller. Well, it was a long time ago. That kind of thing. I don't, so don't do that.
Right.
And, I'm not a whiskey drinker or anything like that. I've never smoked a cigarette. And I don't know, just take care of yourself.
Okay.
Sleep is good. Sleep is good to take care of your voice.
Healing.
Bring it back, yeah. Do a little vocal exercise, you're good to go.
Cool.
Do vocal push-ups.
Wait, I'm going to go back to this. Wait, whiskey's bad for your voice?
I straight, probably, I would imagine. Well, I guess that's where the Marlboro and whiskey is like if you learn to sing like Tom Waits, it'll be perfect. Which actually sounds like Mr. Bumpy, but that's cool. But that's what you get. But then you don't get to sound like anything but Mr. Bumpy.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
So that's the thing of it.
So I got to watch that.
That was a great show too. You do a lot of singing for, especially for celebrities who, which is weird again.
Don't sing.
Yeah, why even cast it if So because you covered for Christopher Lloyd and Anastasia. And then Jeremy Irons tried, and then halfway through, as a kid.
Yeah, I know. I read that one too. That's so not true. He never sang any of it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he might have. And actually, no, he did sing it, but you never heard it.
Oh, okay.
I guess that's what I'm saying here. Bless his heart. But no, he does all the speaking in the beginning, and I jokingly say that I'm, a stunt singer. A lot of singers can't act, and a lot of actors can't sing, and since I can't do either, I get to do both. So it works out really well. But no, I was already there, and I had sung Hakuna Matata myself and Jess Harnell. Everybody loves Jess Harnell. Does anybody know who that is? Yeah, you do. Of course you do. Yakko and Wacko and I can't do Jess. Anyway, so he's a musician. I'm a musician, or singers, and they said, well, let's get Jim and Jess in here to do Hakuna Matata, because Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella, they're not musicians, they're not singers. And they said, well, you know what? All we have to do really, back then, of course, it was tape. We'll have Jim and Jess sing it. And Jim could be Pumbaa, Jess could be Timon. And we'll have them just listen to it in their car for like a month and a half or 2 months. That way you go in and you know it, like you know Happy Birthday or the ABC song, you know, then it's in your head. So that's what we did. And, you know, it's like I say, I was already there. And they go, when I wrote the fart verse, Hakuna Matata, anybody ever hear that song? Hakuna Matata, I want a bumpy. I wrote the fart verse. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Clap. Please.
And I know.
Songwriter.
I'm just joking around. No, I'm not joking about that. But you know, Tim Rice, I mean, God, you know, he's got a Sir Elton John, Sir Tim Rice, Sir Elton John. They don't say fart in England. They say break wind. And so it wouldn't have worked. Oh, that was brilliant. And I go, yes, I know. Then, of course, I didn't get credit. Notice how it doesn't say with additional lyrics by.
Right. Oh.
I would have bought this place for all of you. Then we really actually would have gone to Disneyland together. But that was cool. And they go, well, he's here, you know. And Tim Rice took me in and said, I know that your powers of retention, that's all Jeremy Irons right there. But the next part is all me, damn it. Anyway, he didn't do any of the singing part. He never even said be prepared. But I shouldn't tell the story. You're not going to record this, are you? No one's listening, right? Okay,
No.
Good. So I guess what I'm saying is that, no, you know, he played it and I go, ooh. And he goes, you can hear every Marlboro the man has ever smoked. And I said, oh, okay. Which goes back to that singing, that
Right.
smoking thing I was just saying earlier. And so I gave it a shot and it stuck, you know.
Yeah.
And then but he does all the speaking. Actually, I looped like, I don't know, 6 or 8 lines in the movie.
Oh,
I think I
okay.
said something about the shallow end of the gene pool. One of those. Anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, beats heavy lifting.
Yeah. Yeah, it was something that clicked into me when I was listening to it as a kid, Be Prepared. And I'm like, when you got to that part where it's see for the wonder I am, and I'm like, why does Scar sound like Mr. Mental from The Tick all of a sudden? Like, I was like, this is really... You did a villain on The Tick, Mr. Mental.
Oh.
Yes.
I thought he said the
No,
tickles.
no,
That was
sorry.
me too?
Yeah.
I thought that was you.
I wish.
Damn, I'm
Yeah.
confused. Someone shoot me. Okay. So yeah. Wait, he sounded like Mr. How did he sound? Oh, Mr. Mental, the guy with the green head. The big head?
Yeah, the big bald head.
The big bald
yeah.
head. Yeah.
Psychic powers, yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
good. Yeah. Someone had to do it. I'm like the worst interview in the world, right?
No,
No,
I
you're
think we're having,
great.
are you guys having a good time? All right, well, there we go. They've spoken.
You're fun.
They've been to that. Did you ever, this is a question that I always
so
wanted to
far.
know. Yeah. Did you ever meet Sterling Holloway, who,
No.
No.
I almost did. He did a little mini. Well, anyway, like way before I was even in the business, I was down in Laguna Beach, California. That's where he retired to, and what was it, like the Laguna Hotel or whatever? And my wife and I walked in, and we were sitting there, and we thought we're the only people in the diner in the hotel, and just hanging around. And the waitress walks over there. She goes, "Well, have you decided what you're going to have yet?" And you hear this voice, yes, I believe I shall have the chowder. So I said, wait me. You know, and she looks at me and I go, so I got up and I was walking over, I was trying to be cool, you know. I got some salt from this other table and I looked over there and there was Sterling Holloway sitting there. He was like an albino crow, you know. He had all this white hair shooting out of everywhere, you know, and I was too stupid to go up and say anything. I mean, it's way before I was in the business. I mean, I was, you know, it's just, and I'm like, hey, you're winning the boo. I mean, what was I going to do? But, so now that was like my almost encounter. Not quite, yeah. I wish, you know, I'd give a silver dollar to go back and say hello to him. And you're not going to believe this, but anyway, God bless him, right? But I guess he did like those first 2 or 3, and then one of my favorite things, since we're on the subject, is they go, "Oh, you're the new one, the current one."
Correct.
Well, he did. God bless him. You know, all power. He did like 3 or 4, and then I did 9,700 after that. So I don't know. I feel like I'm not all that current. It's been since 1987. It feels like they're going to kick me out in a minute, but so far so good.
Right.
And then, of course, there's Tigger, which that's a whole nother bounce. I can't do Tigger, sorry.
There have been interviews online.
She's
where
having
he
way
just
too
goes
good
through.
of. I know this chick right here. She's trouble.
Does anybody have any questions for Jim? I want to open this up before we could continue here, but I want to give you guys a chance. Any questions at all? Don't be shy.
Any questions at all? Don't be shy. Not for me, for them.
We have a microphone.
Go ahead to the
No,
microphone.
come on down. This is voiceover. 101. Just don't go into the mic. I hate it when people do that. Yeah, by all means, speak into the camera. Yes. Here, wait, hold right there. I'm going to take a picture. Perfect.
I said I was sorry. Okay.
She forgot what her question. Why is there air? Because they can. I'll just give you random answers. When you get to the right, I'll eventually get to the right question.
Okay.
It's the bottom half of this. No.
Okay. What's the character you had the most fun playing?
Of all 57,000.
Okay,
Wow.
pick two.
Yeah, I got to know all of them. Honestly, I mean, like a lot of them. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. The ones I get to do in the nude are a lot of fun. I'm just kidding. I made that up. I'm kidding. I kid professionally. Don't try this at home. Go ahead. No, sorry. Did you have another question? Poor thing. Do you hate me yet? I'm sorry. No, I don't know. I like, but to answer your question, Darkwing's a lot of fun. Pooh and Tigger. Tigger bounces. A lot of fun. Taz isn't bad. I always say I'm Winnie the Pooh and the anti-Pooh. Taz.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So as a singer, I understand that your voice is your instrument. Do you do any warm-ups before you do any particular voices or at all, or is it just comes out naturally for you?
I call warm-ups the first take. You know? No, I mean, I do. I've done scales and everything. And Jess Arnell's got a really good one. He goes, I can't even do it. And he does scales, but no, I don't do that. Do you, though? Do you have any that you do to warm up?
Yeah.
What do you do? Because you sing.
Yeah.
I could tell you're very lyrical. I'm serial.
I do the really high, throwing my voice high
Oh,
to
okay.
help open the larynx, and the.
You do that too?
Yes.
Damn. I knew we had someone to blame. Oh, fine. Okay. Does Jess owe you money? I'll tell him. He stole it from you. Hey.
Hey, so on a lot of the shows that you've done, you've been half a dozen or more characters. How does the casting work for that? Do they hire you to do one and they go, you know what, stick around and read these lines and those two?
A little of that. But there's a thing on, there's a show coming, I want to say it's going to go to Netflix. It's the Three Caballeros. Remember those guys? From?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're way back, like before, like everyone's time here, but they're old Disney characters. I think it was Donald and the parrot and the other guy
rooster.
that wasn't the parrot. The other one,
other
Pancho
guy.
and Krellman and Ignatz and Donald. Anyway, but they're doing a new thing on Netflix, and these guys, they just said, well, well, we got this guy and this guy and this guy, but what are we going to do? So they said, you know what, let's just get Jim. So they did, and now I'm like 12 characters per episode or whatever. But it's not out yet, but it's coming. Coming to a TV near you, I guess. But yeah, the answer is they do that on purpose and then by accident too. They'll just say, well, who wants to blah, 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 and I go, oh, fine. Anyway.
Hi. My question is, out of all the people you were fortunate enough to work with, who was the most fun to work with?
You. Clearly. I mean, obviously,
I appreciate
the
it.
pinnacle of my career. No, it's, I don't know. I have a lot of friends. It's kind of like the stuff that used to get us all kicked out of class, my buddies and I, we all end up being really good friends. And gosh, I mean, over the years, Rob Paulson, Tress McNeil, so, I mean, if I start going, I'll feel like, I'll be leaving people out. Townsend Coleman, Maurice LaMarche. I mean, I would be here all day, but we just, it's as much fun as it sounds like it would be, I guess, Nancy Cartwright's here. She was, she was Was she my? Yeah, she was my daughter because she does a lot of boys. I was thinking, was she my son or my daughter in Goof Troop? No, she was my daughter. And we just have a lot of fun. Bill Farmer and everything. He really is goofy, and it's just like stuff that I would do for free all day long. And I get to work with these great talented people and singers, and they're all amazing. And Tara's here, and Steve Bloom, and Mary, his wife, on Star Wars Rebels. And it's just, I could be here. I could literally go down the line and say everybody that I work with. Okay, except that one guy. That one, because we always have that one guy. Except for him. You know the one I'm talking about. But everybody else is great, including you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jim, so much for this. This was a great experience. It was great meeting you and having us sit down with you. So, Jim Cummings, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Give it up.
Stay tuned. I guess I'll be at my table in autograph row, so say
Check out his
hi,
table, guys.
Come by and see him, or
and
else.
I will autograph your forehead. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Hooray, we've done it again. Stay. Oh, hooray.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So where do we see this? I'll see it somewhere. So where do we see this? What we just did here?
YouTube it'll be up on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. See you guys
That's nice. I'm gonna stand up. Going up and down, it's hard.
Yeah.
Just hanging out.
Are you guys ready for the next guest? Yes. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please, man, I hope he's backstage. Please welcome to the stage, Michael Cudlitz.
Oh, he is back here.
All right.
Thank you for doing this. Here you go.
Is this me? I'm going to put my glasses down so I can step on them when I get up later.
So how you doing, Michael?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, we're doing great. We're doing great. Fantastic show. Made even better than that you're here.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, just pull up my notes here. Horrible at
So,
it.
yeah, let's get it right out of the way. Yes, I know everybody. Yes, I know who dies. Everybody dies. Starting with baby Judith.
How much warning do you get ahead of time on that stuff?
Typically, the pattern they're in now is 3 episodes before.
Okay. So, well, that's good. Characters get themselves time to prepare themselves.
Well, I don't know. I always talked about. I think that it makes the show more exciting to be on as an actor because you're very much every day could be your last.
Yeah, that is cool.
So there's no complacency. You don't sort of lay back. It's not a show that's been going for 8 years, 22 episodes a year, and you kind of get bored in the middle. But you're the main character, so you know you're going to be there. It's like they'll just kill you.
Right.
You're gone.
So they're going to ask a bunch of Walking Dead questions. So I'm actually want to lead off and talk a little Band of Brothers, if you don't mind.
No, sure.
Ahead of time there, because you played such an entertaining character in Bull Randleman. It was a lot of fun to watch your scenes, especially that no, Lieutenant Sobel just hates you, Private. Just very. And you got to meet the original Private Randleman, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I met the Randlemans, got to know his whole family, actually. And shortly after, it's kind of sad story in a way, but shortly after the series was finished, he lost his wife, his daughter, his son, and then he passed. So I'm a dad. I know there's parents out there. I can't think of anything worse than outliving your children.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I'm a father myself. I can definitely. Yeah.
So, but yes, I was fortunate enough to get close with the family and spend a lot of time with them when they were here.
All right.
I'm gonna back up a little bit.
There we go. How's that one?
See, is this one not working? Hello.
Did you? How much of your?
See you.
He's a man with a book.
I can give you the book if you want.
No, I just feel like I'm talking over here, and this is where everybody is.
Why don't you ask a question, Leva? You got some more questions, right?
No, I'm gonna let you go for a little bit.
no,
I'm your Vanna White. You're the Patch. Say Jack.
I don't know who he is.
She's actually the Walking Dead fan.
I have zero questions for him.
One of the when you did the character of Randleman, did you put obviously you tried to put as much of his personality in there, but did you? It's kind of a weird question, but did you have family who also served, and did any of your kind of traits of your family members make it into the Randleman character at all, or did you try to play it as straight as possible?
No, everything in there was that the research that I did was from his family members talking about him.
Okay.
And people that he knew and some of the men that he served with. I talked to some of the other vets about him. I didn't have anyone in my family that served. I'm some second generation Polish.
Oh, okay.
So they're not that much service history in my family.
Totally different history on that end. Yeah, absolutely.
Survival.
Right. Which even more so that episode, Why We Fight, such a powerful episode, and just the image of. I mean, you didn't have to say anything, but just that image of Bull like hunched over when they get to that camp, it just says it all, like the impact it had on the soldiers.
Yeah, and I love the way that they told that story. Why We Fight was the episode that dealt with the concentration camps, and when the Allied forces got so far into Germany that they reached the concentration camps. In a way, it's the subject matter is so loaded that it's almost an easy story to tell.
Right.
Because you're given a pass no matter what, because it's so screwed up what happened. And I like the way that the writer told the story was from the completely different perspective than we'd seen it before. And the idea that these men, when they showed up to these concentration camps, figured that these people were in these camps and must have done something. They thought they were criminals. They were sort of like, because who would lock up people like that and treat them like that unless they were, had just done something horrific. So we treat, and that's what happened. The soldiers, when they got there, didn't touch the camps because they didn't know what they had found. And then when they realized what it was, we in our show we liberate them, open up the camp, let them out, and then we have to put them all back in because they have to be basically fed the proper way.
Right, the nutrition
if they eat
thing
too
was,
much,
yeah.
or take too much water in at once when they're malnourished, we could actually kill them. So it's just a really interesting. I thought it was a really interesting take on some really incredibly sensitive subject matter.
Absolutely, yeah. Just a real powerful scene. Just the soldiers being forced to put them back in the camps, and just because I'm a social studies teacher, and I show that episode to my students when we cover the war. That's the one thing I do show them is that episode, and it really. They look at it like, oh, like you have to do what you have to do, though. Yeah. So it's rough, but I mean, again, fantastic. I mean, that show was really great, and you had done stuff before that, but that show really did help kind of catapult your career.
Yeah, everyone in the show, the entire cast of the show had done a lot of. We were sort of well-known young character actors, but that really was what sort of put us all on the map, and it was like our generation's outsiders,
right?
Where you look at the cast and you're like, oh, him. I know all those people, and it was really like a gift to be part of that.
Yeah, it was really fantastic. And then you moved on to Southland. Which you had watched.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
And we have Ben McKenzie, who I will be talking with tomorrow. So if you have any embarrassing stories, I'd love to hear them and tell him and get embarrassing stories about you
ask
from
him
him.
about the scene in the desert in the car. And then ask him if he was wearing any pants in the car.
Okay.
He'll take it from there.
This is something that. So we've got.
He tells you he was. He's lying.
That Gotham panel is going to go in a completely different direction.
Question I had: are you yourself a marksman? Because you seem to have the role of.
I don't own a gun, but I since Band of Brothers and some other shows that I had to train for with firearms, I go to the range, and we did a mini training police academy for Southland.
Okay.
And we have the guy who teaches tactics and firearms training. He taught us, and supposedly I'm really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
We tested. We went through the test that they have to go through at the end of the academy, and I scored very, very high.
Nice.
He was you beat the crap out of most of the guys that come out of the academy. So,
wow.
Yeah. Which is weird because I don't know. I enjoy it when I'm at the range, but I don't want one.
I wouldn't call yourself an enthusiast or anything.
No.
We're going to get to open it up to the Q&A soon because I know a lot of people really want to ask you a question or mustache you a question. We've set some rules here. They cannot enter the facial, address the facial temple here unless they wear mustaches of their own. So we're going to have that.
That's what those are for.
Yeah, that's just in case you were wondering why we have that. But I did want to ask kind of a Walking Dead Band of Brother question. Easy Company in the Walking Dead universe, how far do you think they'd go?
Easy Company?
Yeah.
Oh, Easy Company would still be together.
That's what I want to hear.
They would, Easy Company would beat the crap out of the Walkers.
All right, you guys ready to ask your questions? Oh, they sound so enthusiastic.
Well, don't be shy.
It's the weather, isn't it? All right. I'm going to go down there and distribute these.
Come on up. Who has a
That's all
question?
anyone's
You
gonna ask.
guys all said you're here.
That's like the only question.
We have different styles.
Hello.
My question is, how do you keep a straight face when you say the things you say on The Walking Dead? Because sometimes I lose it. I can't.
Sometimes I lose it. I think the most important thing I think why this stuff is so funny to you guys is because it's not funny at all to him. It's the only way he knows how to ask those questions. When he's talking about pouring the Bisquick, making pancakes with Glenn, he doesn't know how to connect with him to ask what it's like to have a baby. So this is the only way that it can come out for him. And he needs the answer to that question. But it's so ridiculous that as a viewer, it's funny.
If you can, pass your mustache down. Thank you.
I love that they have to have mustaches.
So I know the fandom has feelings about the last season finale, but what was it from the actor's perspective, what was that episode like for you and the build-up for it and your overall, how do you feel finally being able to get it out of the way and when you were able to see the final product, what was it like for you?
It was a brutal episode to film, both physically and emotionally. We were all. If you look at a lot of those shots in the semicircle, that was shot over 2 nights, and you can see that the breath. You can see the breath. So it was a cold Georgia night. It's near the end of our season. We're that would have been second week of November. And it's cold, and there's a lot of moisture in the air, and it just cuts right through you. Most of the coverage, you could see everyone in every shot, except for singles. So we were on our knees the whole time. It took a long time to shoot. Negan talks a lot. and we were on our knees for all of it, and they probably did 30 or 40 different takes of that scene and shot over the 2 nights, and just to sort of go through emotionally what everybody was going through, and everyone had their own different story of what's going on and how they would react, but everybody it was loaded. So so it was brutal, but I think it's one of our best episodes. I know everyone's talking, the fandom does this very interesting thing. They like to sort of put out there what's going to happen, which is something we didn't do. It's something created by you. And then you get pissed off at us because we didn't do what you wanted us to do, which you made up in the first place. So you guys all decided we were going to meet Negan, so much to the point that they actually had to admit, because it leaked out that he was going to come, when we were going to meet Negan. And we're going to meet Negan, so somebody's going to die. Okay. People ask, well, who died? Well, I don't know if anyone dies. I know it looks like somebody got the shit knocked out of them, but the fandom has created that somebody's dying. So, okay. That's out of our control. The good thing is that everybody has so many different theories that are plausible that they sort of all cancel each other out, and then hopefully people who actually just watch the show can just watch it and enjoy it. Thank you. No, it's not.
Here, I'll bring the mic down.
Hi, I just wanted to ask you, what was the most funny or awesome experience you had with the cast, like behind the scenes or while filming? Which ones was your favorite? Like, is there any pranks in there in this season 6 you filmed?
My most awesome experience right now is watching you put that mustache on your nose, not under it.
Thank you.
You know what? It's we keep it light on set a lot because the subject matter is always so not light, very heavy. I think Andy and Norman probably do the most sort of epic things to each other.
Yeah.
I know that Norman just got a new truck this year, and Andy had the transportation department put a banner across the top of the windshield where it had like a shade banner, and it said Andy's bitch. And he didn't know, but that's payback because Norman did the same thing to Andy's license plate holders. It said Norman's bitch, and it was on Andy's car for about 5 months before he noticed it. So they kind of do long-term big things to each other, but that's not on set, because when it's on set, it is very intense, and the days are very long. So there's not a lot of time to really do stuff.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Haven't you ever had a nightmare from all the zombies trying to attack you?
I have.
Because I saw like one episode for the first time and I already had a nightmare and I was traumatized.
No, I have. I think all of us have had. We talk about this in different panels and with each other, and then we just throw our shit on the floor. That's why we can't have nice things.
I'm a mess.
I had heard everyone talk about the nightmares, and I had never had them prior, so I thought it was kind of like, all right, you have nightmares, whatever, like, you're crazy. And then I had a really vivid nightmare that somebody was after me in my apartment, the kind of nightmare that you wake up from, and you sort of like got to take a second to see if it's really happened or not, or if you really were sleeping, and you're still uneasy about it. And I know it was induced by the show because it was the stuff that we were doing the week before.
Did you kick ass in the dream?
No.
Like what you do?
I woke up terrified.
Oh, so all of that didn't help you in the dream?
No, not at all.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mustache first. Hi, man. So
I must ask you a question.
Best $4 I ever spent.
My question is, what has been the best episode that you film and be at the best episode so far?
That always changes. I have things that I remember as just scenes that I love to watch. And most of the stuff that is my favorite stuff doesn't involve me. It usually involves Melissa McBride, Carol, because she's awesome. But I think probably my favorite episode would be the episode with her and Chad when Look at the Flowers.
Oh wow!
So I just think I think the two of them together are terrific, and I just think she's terrific. So,
Awesome.
And I love the pilot. The pilot I think is still my favorite episode. You know.
That's
So.
pretty awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
I'm loving the mustaches.
How touched up does your mustache get, and how long does it take?
How much what?
How much touched up, like makeup, on your mustache?
Oh, they do that every day because typically my hair doesn't match my mustache because they have to dye this separately. So we do this every day. So I walk around 7 months out of the year looking like a complete idiot. So yeah, every day because it grows out at a different rate, so they can't touch up the roots really on it, and then the mustache hair takes the dye differently than the hair on the top of your head.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. You again.
Hello again. Out of your whole acting career, what has been like the funnest thing you've done? Like, what do you like the most about acting?
So two completely different questions, but that's okay. We'll answer both of them.
Thank you.
I think right now I might be having the most fun. Yeah, exactly. Creatively, from a creative standpoint, Southland was my favorite show. I was home. I got to stay home and film in my city. And we were telling stories, and for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's shot in a very documentary style. There was a lot of creative input from the cast, as well as everyone involved in creating it. The way it was shot, visually, there was nothing like it on TV before. And then after we told the stories the way we told, everyone started doing what we were doing. What was the second? What was my most?
Like, what was the most fun you've had? You answered both of them. You got it.
Did I get both of them?
Yeah.
All right.
You got both of them.
Did I?
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't. I feel like I'm sending you home with less than you came with.
You can add more if you'd like,
No,
but you
that's
answered
all right.
them. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, last question.
Hey, how's it going? Bro, do you think in the Walking Dead series that
Did you just bro me?
Yeah, I
I'm just trying to be clear.
He broed you with a fake mustache.
Do you think anybody in The Walking Dead is just gonna remove themselves from the equation? Like just get tired of all the surviving, the covering themselves in blood and just kill themselves? I remember one episode when you were trying to get a bazooka from a zombie that was hanging off of a fence, and you were just like, dude, oh fuck it, man, there's cigars right there. I need to get the cigars. You know.
Well, at that point, Abraham
you were
was.
laying back and chilling with the cigars,
he
more than
was-
worrying about needing that bazooka.
Yeah, he was.
I'm just anticipating
he was
somebody
close
like
to-
getting tired and just.
He was
ending
close
it.
to committing suicide, basically. Suicide by zombie. He could have shot the zombie, could have stabbed the zombie and
Got
taken the
right in his
bazooka, but
face.
I very purposely put the weapon down, and that's sort of what happened in that scene specifically, is that he really realizes that he has a shit ton to live for.
Yeah.
And he's not going to choose death. I think in the graphic novel, early on, Maggie hangs herself. That's when we.
I don't pay attention to the novel. That's why.
Yeah,
I was
but I'm telling you, I'm telling you that in the world that we're doing,
Do you think
there
that'll
are
happen in the
characters
show,
that
or?
we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
see.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
He started asking a question, then he backed off of asking a question, didn't he? You got angry at me for answering your question.
He just wanted the mustache.
Michael, it's been great having you on. It was a pleasure, man. Thank you very much. Michael Cudlitz, everyone.
Everybody give it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's almost like yours.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, just leave right there. A picture? Okay. All right, coming up next, guys, is David Warner. Please don't go anywhere.
Let's do a quick picture with Supercon behind.
Okay. Do you want the mustache or no mustache?
Mustache for you,
Okay.
obviously for you.
I guess I have to. Gotta join the club.
Oh, wait, hold on, that's me. You don't want a picture of me. Here, do your thing, guys. Do your thing, guys.
Hurry up, guys. I got one more guest.
Okay. And then,
Thank you.
all right. Everybody say cheese. Got it. Get my go-tos. All right, sir.
All right. I'm going to take the seat because he's definitely this here.
Okay.
All right, Leva, that was great. Are you ready for our next guest?
Yeah.
I am ready for our next guest. We have a film legend, ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage. Please welcome Mr. David Warner.
Louder. You'll get warmer if you cheer louder. This guy.
Behind time.
Yeah.
Oh, darling, who are you?
This is Leva.
Okay.
I'm Leva. Nice to meet you.
I thought you didn't say much, did you? I thought she was being interviewed. Not being asked any questions.
Yeah, just the co-host. Just the co-host.
We'll wait for a second.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
Well, listen, I mean, why doesn't they all come and sit here?
Yeah, you guys should move in. Come on, move in.
There are many of you, so why don't you come and all sit in the front so we don't have to...
No.
Or whatever.
Oh, not. David, it's great sitting down with you.
Thanks.
I mean, I've been such a fan when I first saw you. I was a kid, and I had watched Time Bandits. And that's when I was first introduced to you as evil. And I was like already mesmerized. I'm like, this character is so amazing because he's so over the top.
Yeah, the evil genius. Mm-hmm. Anybody see Time Bandits?
Yeah.
This guy is.
Okay.
If you haven't, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay.
And have a picture I wanted to put up. Whenever you guys get a chance, put up that picture, please. Do a little research. And so you've had a pretty good career. This is your first role in We Joined the Navy, painting a boat, correct?
Oh, really? Wow. I started off as an extra.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you very much for reminding me of that. Well, yeah. I mean, you can start off as an extra, and then you can do extraordinary things.
Yeah. It's just amazing how you're able to rise up from there.
Well, I don't know. Other people helped me. I was never ambitious.
Yeah?
I thought I'd always be an extra. But somebody asked me to do something. I did okay, and that's how my career was. I never thought that I never knew or thought of ever coming to Hollywood or playing leading parts or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And it just happened.
Right.
Just by, do you call it happenstance?
Happenstance, yeah. I would say that, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be an extra for my whole career.
And then here you are, you were in such great movies throughout. I mean, even still, you recently got off of Hollander with
Wallander.
Wallander, yeah.
Wallander with Ken Branagh,
right.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've done all sorts of things. I've been very lucky. I mean, I've worked with Sam Peckinpah, the kind of Western director. I've done horror movies. Are you going to ask me a question? I've done horror movies. I've done war movies. I've done musicals. I've had a quite interesting, and Tron and Star Trek and all that kind of, Doctor Who. I'm giving you my list of credits, and that's okay. I've done.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very lucky. All sorts of genres, and theatre as well. Managed to get some theatre in as well,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just playing.
Yes, you do a lot of, find yourself in a lot of occult movies. Is that a preference, or they just...
No, I mean, for example, when we were doing Tron, we didn't know it was going to be that kind of movie, which is a cult movie. Time After Time.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, didn't know that was going to be. No, you don't say, I'm going to make a cult movie.
Right.
Because a cult movie really means not many people go and see it.
Right.
And then there's a group of people who really enthuse about it and then talk about it, and then it becomes what they call a cult movie.
Right.
Cult movies are not usually not commercially successful. For example, a movie I was in called Titanic, that wasn't a cult movie.
No.
So no, you don't choose it.
Right.
I Man with Two Brains, a film I did, or even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Secret of the Ooze. These are all for different kinds of audiences. Oh, great, good. Great. No, I mean, I've been lucky to appeal to all sorts of different and. Playing the professor in The Ooze, for example, was wonderful for me because I played so many villains and so many heavy characters. And today, even, here in the hall, two kids at separate times with a great grin on their face said, "You played the professor." Now, before I played the professor, kids would look at me and say, I would actually recoil in horror from me because I've been playing all these nasty people. So it's great to see young kids, I'm talking about 10 or 11, having just, watched it on DVD.
Right.
With a wonderful smile. And that's really, really important to me, that the younger generation learn about some of us older actors. And that's what DVD and, being able to replay things is fantastic.
I misspoke. I was meaning the occult, as in supernatural films you seem to do a lot of. That's what I had meant.
One or two. I mean, The Omen, for example, or boy, I've been in a lot, haven't I?
You've got Wax World on your hands.
All different things.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I've done all that many occult films. I mean, maybe they are, or I don't remember them. Maybe you have to pay the rent. And I don't mean to say you deliberately do films that don't turn out to be good.
Right.
But there are some that you do, and you do one day on them. When they were making a lot of them, and then they ask you because you're that you're the flavour for that particular thing. So I've done a few, I suppose, thinking back.
Right.
But it's not something that I chose.
Okay.
You have to earn your living and feed your family and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And is that one of the reasons you did a lot of voice acting in the 90s?
Well, that was easy to do voice acting. No, when I say easy, I don't mean that flippantly. I mean it's great because you don't have to shave, you don't have to make up, you don't have to get up at 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning. You go in there, you don't have to learn it. And no, I enjoy it, but I'm what they call a jobbing actor. If something comes up, I like acting and all that, I do it. So I did a bit of voice work. Yes. I don't see I'm looking out there in the hall there, and the queues for people to meet people that I don't actually know, and they are voice actors, and there are thousands of people out there, wanting to get their autograph and photograph. It's fantastic.
It's incredible, and you really honed it in the 90s. Yeah. You were Ra's al Ghul in Batman. That was a big... all of us kids at my age definitely remember your role as Ra's al Ghul in Batman. You made that character so... sinister.
Well, the strange to good, I'm glad. Well, of course, that's why I was hired, because I'm sinister. But, no, the problem is living in England and not having every television channel. I haven't seen it. I mean, people keep telling me, which is lovely, they like it, Ra's al Ghul. And how do you pronounce it? Is it Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul? I don't know. But I haven't heard them, because I haven't seen them, because I don't have a cartoon channel? I don't know. I don't have it.
So, I'm a little starstruck, overwhelmed. Hold on, I'll get to myself here. I said I followed your career pretty well. Time After Time was great. You and Malcolm McDowell. I mean, if people,
sorry.
Yeah, people haven't seen it, please check out Time After Time.
Time After Time is quite an interesting movie. But there again, it's like you mentioned Time Bandits.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't the first actor they wanted to play that part.
Really?
You know, I'm always sort of in the middle of the list of actors because, you know, they'll offer it to, you know, I don't know, Tom Cruise or somebody, and then, no, you know what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So who they wanted it for Time Bandits, they wanted, I'll tell you about Time After Time in a minute. Time Bandits, they wanted an actor called Jonathan Pryce, a wonderful actor who worked with Terry Gilliam in Brazil. Wonderful, he wasn't free. For Time After Time, they wanted Mick Jagger to play the part of Jack the Ripper. But Nick Meyer, the director and the producer, they wanted me and they won, which is great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, Tron, where I play Sark, they wanted Peter O'Toole. Well, no, but he told them to, you know.
Yeah.
So I was never the first in line, but I'm very grateful that I was, you know, that people turned those parts down.
Because I don't think, honestly, I don't think I would have been happy with any of those first choices.
Well, I'm glad to hear.
Absolutely. I mean, Price did fantastic in Brazil, but Time Bandits really was made for, you know.
Well, no, it was a wonderful part.
Uh-huh.
Very uncomfortable part with those long things.
I was about to say, you were in a Terry Gilliam film, so obviously filming was horrible.
Oh, yeah, filming. No, but you know, the difference between working, for example, on a difficult film like Titanic,
right,
which was a kind of set of all sorts of problems of, you know, stuff going on, and Time Bandits, which was physically very, very difficult, especially for the little guys. You know, they were in the water and they didn't really know how to swim, so they had to all sorts of stuff like that. But for Terry Gilliam, you do it.
Right.
You say whatever you want. It doesn't matter because he was just a great person and also what a wonderful filmmaker. But there are some projects that you are uncomfortable and you really resent it, but not with Time Bandits.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's great to hear because, yeah, it's part of that dream trilogy that he calls the first step, and it sets the tone for the rest of his movies.
But yeah, no, absolutely. But I was thinking about, you know, the uncomfortable, like, and there's no instant like the Titanic. Everybody has said how uncomfortable and how unpleasant that filming was. But it won 20 million Oscars, and you know, and it was great, and you know, great picture. But it's just the way it is.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, we're okay.
All right,
we're running late now.
And it's interesting because you did Time After Time, and now you're on Ripper Street. So it kind of all comes back, doesn't it now?
Yeah. Well, sort of. I mean, yeah, it's called Ripper Street. No, I just pop in and out of Ripper Street. There's nothing big, you know. At my age, you know, I'm in my mid-70s now.
Right.
I really am very grateful that I don't have to kind of rush out there and try and seek jobs. I mean, I'm really envious of my contemporaries, of my age group, like Ian McKellen, you know, from Gandalf. He is out there working whenever he can. Pat Stewart, John Hurt. All these actors are older than me, and they're working and working, and they're driven to work.
Right.
When I say driven to work, I don't mean they're driven in a car. I mean, they feel they have to keep doing it, and I don't. I'm quite, you know, I just don't feel I have to do it, and I'm very lucky at that. I envy them.
Right.
They're what they call driven.
Right.
They're driven. You know, get Pat Stewart to retire. No, you won't get Pat to retire or McKellen. Me, I'm quite happy.
Are you sure? Because they're running out of old British actors for Game of Thrones. Are you next in line? They just killed John Price.
No, Price, of course, has done it. No, it's a long story about Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I was asked to be in it in the second season.
Oh, wow.
And they sent me some DVDs. And it was all-night shooting in Iceland. You know, and not being driven, I said, you know, and I'd just come off a movie where it was really uncomfortable. And I don't take discomfort very well anymore.
Right.
And I said to them, I said, look, I really don't think that I can just do the conditions that you're filming in. So, which is fine. I mean, I'm not in Game of Thrones. I'm not in Lord of the Rings. I'm not in Harry Potter. That's the way it is. The only thing about the Game of Thrones thing is about me saying I don't want to be out in the cold at night and doing all that. When I see some of my colleagues, there's a wonderful actor called Peter Vaughan.
Yes.
He's 90 years old, and he's out there standing on top of some cliff or something doing it.
Right.
And Julian Glover, another actor, he's much older than me. They're all in their 80s, out there in the freezing cold. And I said, No, I prefer a bit of send me to Malta for the sunshine scenes, I said. But I really don't think I can cut it. That's the way it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm not in Game of Thrones.
You never know. 2 scenes, they might be like, hey, you know what? We've got a scene that we're going to shoot in Miami. We want you for it. You never.
Well, anyway, it didn't work out.
So you did a lot of stage acting as well. You think that's necessary to? I mean, when you were starting, the stage acting to become a screen actor?
Did I plan it? Did you say? Do you think
it's necessary to do stage acting first, do you think?
No, I mean, no, it helps. The one great thing about the British stage acting tradition is something to think about, and we'll be brief here. And it doesn't apply to me because I started making movies when I was 24, 25 in England. There's some very famous actors like, as I've mentioned, Patrick Stewart, who didn't really become famous till Star Trek, Next Generation. By then he was in his 40s or 50s. He had done 30 years of stage, no films, I don't think, a bit of British television. And now he is one of the great, stars of stage and screen and television. McKellen, 40 years hardly without making a movie. And McKellen now is one of the most famous actors in the world. Michael Gambon, Judi Dench, a little bit younger, but Helen Mirren, all theatre before they became movie stars. And they became movie stars at a later age. You know, people go and they want to be movie stars at the age of 18, 19 and be rich and famous. Well, these people, theatre, the odd film or whatever.
Right.
And then now, but what I'm saying is, at the age of 50, they suddenly become stars. And it's very, very interesting, that. So it's not essential to do one or the other, but it certainly helps as you grow older to have done stage work, and then suddenly you find yourself a film star.
Right.
For me, it's the reverse. I was never a star, but I did good films when I was younger. You know, and I don't do stage now or anything, but I did a lot of stage, Shakespeare mainly, way back in the 60s, yes.
Right. One of the little thing, like I said, your career seems to just have like little tip-offs here, like time after time, and then you do Ripper Street. There's little connections here. Again, Wallander, you were with Kenneth Branagh, and you both played General Heydrich at one point in your careers, so it was kind of
yes. I mean, whether anybody's seen either of those things, but yeah, but then we both played Hamlet as well.
Exactly.
That happened. Every actor's played Hamlet.
Why not, right?
Working with Ken Branagh was great, and he is now Sir Ken.
Oh, of course, yes.
Well, there are a lot of, there's Sir Patrick now, Sir Patrick Stewart, Sir Ian McKellen, Sir John Hurt, Sir Michael Gambon. It's just amazing, they're all out there and doing it. That's the most important, they're still doing it, all of them. Yeah. I don't know why I went on to knighthoods. I just one of those things, to be, the distinguished. Whether actors and people in my business should be knights, I don't know. That's a debatable point.
Right.
I have no point of view about it, but a lot of people think actors shouldn't. They get paid enough, and they're famous enough. Why suddenly do they have to be Sir this?
Right.
People who work on cancer cures should be Sir or Dame or whatever. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion.
Whole other debate.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever
panel.
thought of something like that. Yeah.
Good, that's a whole nother panel.
It's a whole other panel. It's a medical panel.
Did anybody have any questions for David Warner before we conclude this as well? No?
Oh, good. I was almost about to go. Yes, sir.
Hello, big
Hello.
fan. I don't know if you know this, but in Tron Legacy, they casted Dillinger's son, Edward Dillinger Jr. And I was wondering if the people who made Tron had, approached you to reprise the role of Edward Dillinger, would you be interested in reprising that role?
Would I have accepted to be in Tron Legacy? Is that what you asked?
Or in any Tron sequel?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I'm an actor who always likes to work. No, seriously. Yes. I haven't seen Tron Legacy. They didn't invite me, so I haven't. I haven't bought it. So I don't know what it's like. But I certainly would have said yes. I mean, we didn't have a fight or anything. They just sort of sent. I think they sent Dillinger off in his helicopter and. Whatever happened to the Sark, can't remember. No, I'm sure they could bring it back, and you can, I believe, in science fiction,
absolutely
bring people back or have a twin. Yes, I would have done it. Yeah, but I was never asked.
Thank you.
Right. David, it has been a pleasure to have you up here. We thank you so much for this. David Warner, everyone.